I wanted one of those really big XL mouse mats, but I was too tight to fork out the 25 quid to buy one. Apparently this is a common thing with me. The first thing I did was buy leather. I went onto eBay to find a leather seller and I messaged them asking them to cut me a custom size. I think it was like 120 centimeters by 40. This would then allow me to cut this down to a smaller size. I think the leather ended up costing me about 11 quid, but it is really thick, good quality leather. I didn't want to skimp necessarily on quality. Just a piece of leather by itself isn't going to cut it, so I wanted to buy some cork to back it. There's one of those like model railway stores just up the road from here, so I went in there and I bought from them a roll of cork underlay. This worked out perfectly. It cost about 7 quid I think for the whole roll. Once I had these two materials, I needed to stick them together, and for that I used contact cement. It's pretty important to use a good adhesive to make sure these two pieces stay together permanently. Contact cement works by covering both surfaces in a very, very thin layer and allowing it to go tacky before sticking them together. You need to line your pieces up before you commit though, because as soon as it's touched, it's basically set for life. Once it's all stuck together, you need to hold these two pieces together for about 24 hours for the glue to fully cure. Highly recommended are the Hellboy library editions, which you can see here, as well as a few Transformers books and a great big book about tanks. After 24 hours have passed, take the books off and Bob's your uncle, there's your basic mouse mat. You need to cut this down, make it a bit nicer to look at. In the end, the measurements that I decided to go for was a rough average of mouse mats which are out there on the market. So I went for 90 centimeters by 30 centimeters. I used a humongous steel ruler to mark it out, and then I used a very, very sharp craft knife to cut through this. Getting through the leather and the cork in as few cuts as possible is what's going to make sure you have that nice, clean, professional edge. The final step was to seal the edges, because I was worried that maybe the edges would start to peel away. You can use latex and you can use actual specialized leather products, but I used Modge Podge, which is this fairly generic crafting splodgy substance. Just use a normal paintbrush, dab it on around the edges. You can wash the brush in water when you're done. What you might want to do is perhaps add in a little bit of acrylic paint into your edging material. That way you can get a really neat professional finish. As you can see here, I've added in a little bit of Game Show Blue. Again, I just happen to have this acrylic paint kicking around because I live in a pretty creative household and we have this kind of stuff knocking around all the time. There you have it. A piece of leather, a piece of cork, some glue, and a whole bunch of time. This took me pretty much a whole weekend to do. Waiting was the lion's share of the time. There you go. That is how you can spend more money and more effort to get a extra large mouse mat, which is probably not as good as the one you can get from Steelseries. Thanks so much for watching. If you subscribe, I'll try and make sure the next video is a bit better. Cheers.
Perfect.